says we're going live. It says we're here.
All right, but are we?
Supposedly.
Well, let's see.
We're here ridiculously early.
We are.
Mm-hmm. Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Kayla Lords.
John Brownstone.
Of Loving BDSM, where we help kinksters like you have happy, healthy power exchange relationships. We are here 11 minutes early for our weekly live stream while we record our audio podcast, which hits still working on that, major podcast apps every Friday. I don't actually know I'm here until my existence is validated by others, but we'll, do what we can. We are here 11 minutes early. If you are watching later, like after the stream, but before I get timestamps in and you don't like idle chit chat, fast forward by about 11 minutes. If you're here for the stream and you don't like idle chit chat, now you know how this rolls and you have time to go do whatever you need to do with yourself for the next 11 minutes or so.
Yeah.
There we go. I'm going to say hi to you, who was the first comment. Hello, John Brownstone.
I'm always a lurker. I didn't want to lurk anymore. I
You
wanted
are.
to come out of lurking.
Hi, Kim. Hi, Davey. Hi, JB. Hi, Love the World. Hi, Mr. Spock. Hi, Ms. Woodhouse. Thank you. I like having my existence validated. I'm getting better at not needing other validation, but the existence thing is still definitely needed. Hi, Spooky Slave Girl. Okay. I think that might be a first to my knowledge that we are helping somebody who's currently in the shower.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Don't splash too much.
We've been lots of places, but I don't think we've been in the shower yet with someone.
There was that one time
Well.
we were definitely in the shower with
Okay.
someone, but that's a different thing, and I don't want to get demonetized 2 minutes into the stream. I just a little. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Tayshu. And thank y'all about the hair. It's about 2 weeks old and still going strong. I'm having to completely relearn how to take care of my hair to hopefully keep it as vibrant as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be a struggle when the roots start growing in. That's gonna suck. Yes, we are here early. No, I don't have links to the shirts we're wearing, but we did buy some new shirts. These are from Turtle. Mine, it says I woke up like this, which is pretty accurate.
And mine says questions before
No.
coffee before questions.
And you clearly still have not had enough coffee.
No, I haven't.
My shirt was on clearance. I don't know if they still have it. Yours was not. Turtle is amazing. We bought 2 other shirts because I got a wild hair up my ass and went, I want to buy shirts for us. And so I did.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And you still have some more on the way too, right?
Yes, and those are not from Turtle.
No.
And some of those are ones I've been wanting to get for so long. I finally did. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Hi, Andre.
One is very fitting
Hi,
for
Missy.
me. I'm not going to give it away, but it's very fitting.
Now, the 2 that you picked out are completely perfect for you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait. So, hi, little miss. It is the first day of school. We'll probably mention this later once we officially roll in. So this is the only thing work-wise that we're doing today. It's glorious.
It is.
It's weird to have them back at school after being home for 2.5 months. It's every
Every year,
of the school year. It's
yeah.
weird. I don't know why. You'd think
And
it'd be
yet a
more weird
joyous-
to have them home.
And yet a joyous occasion.
Since we were able to get the youngest off to school with minimal fuss and muss, yes. So. Oh, Kim, okay, we've been in the shower with you too.
All right.
Okay. It's delightful to be there with y'all in spirit. But now that I've been reminded of the one time we were physically in the shower with somebody else, I'm like, wait, I could do that again. We're gonna need a bigger shower, but I can do that again. Yeah, that was nice.
Our shower would work. We just need to do something about the damn shower curtain.
We need a new shower door. Please tell me that we are not the only people who do this. So when we bought this house and moved in, we did some big stuff. We did lots of little things that were more cosmetic. There were a few small things that we will get to it. The temporary fix is tolerable. It's now 3 years on practically, and things
and
like
the temporary
a new shower
fix is
door
still in play, and it's becoming more and more annoying.
When we bought the house, the shower door in the master bathroom did not exist. It had clearly
Right.
come off.
It wasn't even just broken. It did not
Gone.
exist.
So
period.
the former owner had put up a shower curtain rod and a curtain, and it was fine. I mean, it was like, it's not cute. It's ugly, but it works. We could shower in peace.
Yeah.
And we kept telling ourselves, we will get a new shower door. We will get a new shower door. We still have not gotten a shower door. We also still don't have a mirror in our bathroom. We have multiple mirrors in the bedroom, but none in the, we still.
Well,
haven't
I've given you my explanation for that.
I know,
and you
I know.
understood that explanation.
I know.
Totally so.
See,
you know.
Davey, I totally agree. My podcasts are outside the shower. Nothing gets to come inside with me. But it's fine. It's fine. I'm happy to be shower adjacent for folks. It's cool. It's fine. But sorry.
Where did you go?
It's funny because I'm not thinking of any particular person, but I'm like, 3 of us in a shower? Okay. I'm here for it.
Okay.
I mean, I'm here for a Kayla sandwich. That's good.
Hey.
I like to be... No, I don't. It's weird. Do I like to be the center of attention? I mean, yes and also no. Depends on the attention. If I'm showering with you and another human being, yes. The answer is yes. Hi, Silent. So...
Now, see, I've been to filling in a sandwich, and I liked it.
Oh, you make a good filling to a sandwich. Wait. That is accurate on all the levels. Yes, the one time, the only time I've now like gone back in my mind several years, the only time there's been 3 of us together, you were a filling then too, and you were a good filling. That was fun. That was fun to have you be the center of attention. Mm-hmm. Except then I get lost and confused, and somebody better take over because I'm about to just sit back and go, I'm lost now. 30 seconds, that's my max. So yes.
Yes, Spooky Slaver, you started all this. You brought this all on.
You know, Kim, that I haven't done it in a while, but typically I'll listen to podcasts when I'm in the shower, and I do the same thing. Even though we now finally have a Bluetooth speaker thing I could use, I'll make sure I'm listening to podcasts that I don't mind cranking all the way up. Even though I could, if somebody would teach me how to do it, I could just connect to our speaker that we now have.
I will gladly show you how to do it. Very simple.
I know. I kind of like not knowing stuff, but I also want to know stuff. But also, the more stuff I know, then the more stuff I'm responsible for. It kind of sucks. I don't know if any other organized planner, air quote, type A people out there can relate, but it's like, while I want to have the control, sometimes I don't want to know how to do absolutely everything. It's okay if somebody else can do it. Thanks. So I don't know. We got about 4 minutes left.
Okay.
This is not the most chaotic butt rub, but it's up there.
It's kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing. I mean, that's okay.
We're very relaxed.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in the bonus section.
Yes, we're very relaxed. I'm feeling okay. I'm not feeling any after effects at this point. So,
all right.
I know you're disappointed, but I thought, I thought, you should know.
Okay.
Hi, Eva. Hi, Ginny.
Okay. We're far enough in. I can do it now.
Okay. Yes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Look at you, waiting. You were the first comment.
Yeah.
And then this.
Ooh,
excuse me. What else?
Well,
have we got
it was kind of funny. I had to do it because normally when we go live, there's already one or two people there, and they've already commented, and so I saw an opportunity and I jumped on it.
Hi, Lady Bledding. What else? We got 2 minutes left. Hi, CBR Reynolds. We got coffees this morning.
Yes, we did.
So a thing the youngest has asked, I think the whole time, I think his entire school career, first day of school, he likes both of us to drop him off, both of us to pick him up in the afternoon. So we have just sort of made it a habit that the day of school is mostly a day off. Like, we're doing this, but we're not doing much of anything else. And this morning, drop off, takes forever on those first few mornings because everybody and their flipping brother is dropping a kid off at the same time. So nobody's on time for class, neither us. But we dropped him off, And we immediately did one errand, went to the post office, and then immediately went and got a coffee. And so your coffee is a decaf iced mocha, no whip.
Correct.
Mine is an iced cold brew with 3 pumps of sugar-free vanilla. I don't know why I'm looking for the wrapper because I took the thing off. And a little bit of heavy cream. That's what we did.
And Silent Wing, yes, very close without actually being so.
Yeah. What would I be like actually high?
Oh, I wouldn't. With you, no, I wouldn't want to find that out.
I'd probably say all the things.
Right.
Or I'd say none of the things and take a damn nap. Let's be real. I'd probably take a damn nap. I'd be finally so relaxed I'd just conk out. I have no desire to smoke anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to try an actual edible from a reputable, they weren't trying to actually poison me or anything or slip something else in. Tayshu, my heart hurts for you. The oldest drives himself now, thank God. The youngest is only in middle school. We only have to deal with 2 of them. And after this year, only 1 child is requiring the services. Wow, for the rest of their school career. Oh my God, having a senior is weird. It's weird. I love it. It's already bittersweet. I did not cry when I thought this morning, oh my gosh, this is your last first day of high school.
Well,
year.
I have to say, to go with the oldest's sense of humor,
which is very irreverent.
He told me this morning, he said, we have one thing in common. We're both seniors.
Oh my God. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. See, Rara, you get it. It's senior year of high school. I made sure he got his senior portraits taken. I set that appointment. He did that last week. I said, look, just go there, look at the camera and smile. He didn't want anything crazy. He just wanted this basic because I want him to have senior portraits. I was trying way early to order cap and gowns, and the site was like, lady, you're here too early. I'm trying to stay on top of this. So, it's fine. Okay, it's 12:01. We need to go.
It's time. Let's rock this party.
It is time to go. Okay, so as you can tell from the title, our topic this week is a discussion of yet another term in kink. This one is service top. It's not new to us, but one we've never really sat down and talked about. Mm-hmm. We do not have links below to the shirts that we're wearing, but if you like them, they're on Turtle. I can't speak to the one I'm wearing because it was on clearance, so that's one of those, once they're sold, they're sold. It might not be. You can find both of them if you go under the coffee topic on Turtle. Anyway, if you enjoy what we're doing here at any point, we love a thumbs up. If you have not already, please consider subscribing. We finally broke 7,000 on our subscribers, and YouTube sent us a little excited message. They were very happy for us. It was like, after only 105 years, finally did it. And I was like, we're niche and I don't care, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing.
And once you subscribe, ring the notification bell to get updates of new content.
Sure. Just do what Daddy says. If you like what we do here, especially if you're in the live chat and you like the community aspect and you want access to extra live streams, extra content, and a Discord server with people who are legit nice people, you can join us on Patreon, link in the description box. You can join for as little as $2 a month. It helps us do the things we do, and let me promise you, we are not making any sweet YouTube ad money because we get demonetized all the time. So just saying. I think that's it for just YouTube folks, and you can hit your magic button and bring the folk in.
Okay. All right.
Okay. I am having one of those moments where I did not make a note of, do we have announcements? Because when I made these, I did not think we have announcements, and now I'm doubting myself and going, have I forgotten something? The answer is probably.
Okay. All right.
So, it feels weird not to have announcements, but I can't think of anything major and special that needs to be said this week that hasn't been said a million times. The Kinkery.com exists. Right. We're also on Etsy.
I was going to say, how could you forget about the Kinkery?
I never forget about the Kinkery.
Okay.
My whole life is the Kinkery.
Me too.
Right. Thekinkery.com. Okay. So we're going to get into this discussion on service tops. Let me give all the caveats and disclaimers and all that I like to do when we start talking about terms, because we all know that people have strong feelings about the terms that they both like and both dislike. So how we talk about this term, service top, may not be the way you define it for yourself, may not be the way you feel about it for yourself. That both sides of this are valid, so you can agree or disagree with us. You can define it the way you need to. You can reject it. You can accept it, whatever. Whatever we say about it is our personal opinion and does not have any reflection on your personal opinion. Hey, okay. So I just like to say that.
And before we dive in,
let me start talking about terms.
That hum you're going to hear is the fan to help keep us a little bit cool in here.
Yeah, it's still Florida in summer.
Yep.
So on service tops, this was not a new phrase for either of us.
Correct.
It's a term we've used a few times here and there throughout different episodes. But I always like to check myself, because I know I'll use a term away and go, but is that how other people are using it?
Yeah.
And I found almost as many definitions on the internet as there are entries and articles about service tops. And I was like, okay, so I have compiled a few, and then we could talk about how we see it, and then we could just talk about the concept and go from there.
Okay,
so,
all right.
I will be linking all of these definitions in our show notes page on Friday for podcast listeners. For YouTube watchers, I linked to one of Evie's videos from a few years ago where she discusses the concept of service top if you want to dive in deep. So the definitions I found on different other sites. There was an article written by and with Kinksters on Your Tango, which sort of surprised me, where they say that a service top is someone who takes the active role in a power exchange and at the same time is told what to do from the passive participant, the bottom. Kinkley's definition was much more nuanced than all the other ones I found. They start with: a service top is a BDSM term used to refer to a submissive who enjoys topping in accordance with their partner's desires. This person is the active person who's applying activities and techniques to a partner, but rather than dominating that partner, they're acting out that partner's wishes. That is how I tend to think of the term. The another part of their definition is that Kinkley says most professional dominants are considered service tops when they engage in pay-for-play scenes, but non-professional dominants may also engage in service topping for both the bottom's enjoyment and their own. Service topping may also be done as a part of submissives training by a dominant. Then on Autostraddle, there was a cool article about all kinds of different terms, and what they said was a service top is a top who acts according to what pleases their bottom, which pleases them. A quote was, "I like giving my partner exactly what she wants, even though I'm the one technically calling the shots," wrote a soft butch lesbian service top. "I'm not an aggressive top or dom," wrote another service top, "but rather my topping comes from a place of care." Another defined it as a submissive service role in a position of giving sexual acts. And then Kink Weekly did an article on it and said a person who tops another individual whom they do not have a power exchange with in a scene. As you can tell, there are a lot of different ways to define the term service top and to think of the term. In all of that reading, a thing that did not surprise me, but that I personally have not come across just because I don't swim in those circles, was that there are absolutely people on the internet and in the BDSM community who will use service top as a pejorative, much like they will use the expression topping from the bottom in a negative way.
Connotation, yeah.
Right, exactly. And of course, any term we use in the community can absolutely be used against us in the community, because there will be somebody always who's decided what their definition of BDSM is, and anything outside of that is air quote wrong. We here all know that is not how this works. But I didn't really spend time personally focusing on the negative connotations, because that's not how I've ever thought about it or had it presented to me. So
correct.
We're probably not going to talk about that. We're going to ignore those fuckers and be like, yeah, let's just define this for the way that works for us. So as somebody who is definitely a dominant and sometimes a top without being a dominant, what do you think of the term service top? How do you define it? How do you see it? How do you feel about it?
For me, I have heard it used in the connotation of someone being in a DS relationship, and the D-type asking the S-type to do something for them, to them,
right,
that would seem as somebody in a topping.
Right. We've had this conversation before where, you know, you're clearly the dominant, I'm the submissive, but you might want to experience a sensation of being hit with a paddle. You don't.
Right.
You actively hate pain. But my job, if I did that for you, would be as a service top where, yes, I am topping in this situation, but our roles in the relationship have not changed.
And there comes the kind of connotation that I have heard it in, because it is not coming from a place of the S-type being a switch,
right,
but more so doing it as an act of service.
Right, because the topping is an activity, not necessarily a mindset or a role.
Right.
It's a activity-based kind of designation in that moment.
And that is kind of the circle I have heard that term used in.
It's funny how terms kind of come at you. We had this conversation very early on in our relationship when I was still a very new submissive, not as confident as I am now. And you and I had a conversation about you wanting to be on the receiving end of a sensation.
Right.
And my brain rebelled and went, no, I cannot be the one to provide that. And at the time I had not heard of service top. And then ages later when I did, I went, oh, yeah,
well,
I'm not the one who's going to provide that sensation. But
exactly, because at that time, I even tried to spin that around on you and say, you know, you as a service submissive, would you do this as being in service to me?
Right, which we know, because what I discovered is that was a boundary of I don't want to be the one to do that.
And your answer was still a resounding no. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But I remember struggling in that early conversation, partly because I didn't understand in that situation that I was bumping up against a boundary of I don't want to be the one to provide that sensation.
Right.
Things. Because part of the struggle was that, and part of the struggle was, wait, I don't feel very submissive if I'm the one doing this. And it was in that conversation where I came to the realization of, wait, if you ask me to do it and I'm only doing it because you want me to, one, it does not in any way take away from my submission.
Right.
And two, it is an act of service at that point.
Correct.
I think one of the definitions to me is kind of my clearest way of thinking about service tops, and it's a service top is a top who acts according to what pleases their bottom. We're not intending to talk about the way people treat this negatively, but I absolutely, sadly, and I disagree completely, can see why people would make that a negative connotation, because what do you mean you only do it the bottom once? But also, hello, yeah, both partners should be engaged in things that they know the other person on some level probably wants. But that definition of doing the thing as a top that you know pleases the bottom takes me back to that that Reddit one. I can't remember or a question. It was one of the two. It was a recent episode where somebody was like, they were upset because I know my partner's only doing this to me because they like it. And it's like, but that's not a negative to only do something for a partner because it pleases you to please them. I mean, that is sometimes how most of us get the things we need. Right. I promise you, there are activities I'm not doing because I'm hyped to fucking do them. I'm doing them because the thing that hypes me up is making you happy.
Right.
Again, as long as it does not come up against a boundary, which, as we just said, we've touched on. I do find it hilarious that there are so many different ways that people define it. I mean, even that last one, it's a person who tops another individual whom they do not have a power exchange with in a scene. I mean, yes, but also no. A top, any kind of top can be that person. It also makes it sound like you can't possibly be in a power exchange and one of you act as a service top for a while. And I'm like, no, that's very limiting. Anybody can be a service top.
Sure.
In almost any situation, as long as the activity and the needs and the willingness to do something all align in the way you want them to.
Mm-hmm.
I have only sort of on the periphery in a very like not easy to explain way explain for myself, because I can't, like, you ever know that you know what something means but you don't know how to put it into words? That we're there. Of being a service top but not being a submissive who's just topping, not being, you know, somebody who's picking up casual play and just like, hey, I'm the top, what do you want? That's what we'll do. But I have kind of like on my periphery somewhere this idea of that being a type of power exchange, and it not being a caregiver dom, but somewhere in the spectrum of that without it being a dominant. Does any of that like click with you? Like, to be a service top and be the top in a relationship, to be in charge, this idea that you're doming or topping as an act of service, but you are still in charge. One of the definitions that I rejected from this list of examples of how others define it was that they absolutely equated service top with daddy dom, and my mind immediately rejected that, because it was like, no. To be a daddy dom, a mommy dom, a caregiver of it is a lot more nuanced than you just provide service, because nurturing and caregiving can absolutely be service or look like service, but it can also be sometimes I have to make you mad and say no to you to take care of you, because it's that. But can you imagine a form of dominance where service is the main crux of it? You're still in charge, but does that make sense? Am I making sense?
Yes, and it's okay. I'm at the point where I'm trying to put it into words, but I can't. I guess in a way it would be like, say you have an S-type who is going to college. I'm going to use that as an example. And they're struggling with a course. And they ask you to kind of oversee them, to put rules in place and have protocols in place for them to work through that class.
Yeah.
Right? Is that...
Yeah. Why can't I define this in words? Like, here's the sad part. However many of y'all that are out there that can see us or hear the sound of our voice, we're looking at one another, making eye contact and going, yeah, I know what you mean. And y'all might be like, I don't know what the fuck these people
mean. Right.
A lot of the ways we define service top is situational. But I think because you can be a service top regardless of the personal role you might have in power exchange, right? Like, you are a dominant, and for the person who needs you, you can be a service top. I'm definitely submissive, and if you ask me to be the one to provide the sensation or top you in the moment, in that moment, I would be a service top.
Sorry, I just had this vision of like a ad running through my head at this point, and the Don is like, service top services available. Need a problem with the helping eating, drinking water, going to the gym?
Be careful. I have many times threatened / promised to hire you out. So
right.
And as people in the live chat have pointed out, there are a lot of different roles where you could be a service top.
Yeah.
Rara points out that demo tops are service tops. You know,
sure.
They're doing a demo as the top, showing how something works.
Yeah.
Teishu points out that a friend of his is a service rope top. He provides the experience for the person because he can tie the rope and they get to be on the receiving end, but it's not. It's a little bit transactional. Like, they're willing to do it because they're a nice person. It's within their boundaries, but it's not emotional and a.
I mean, again, maybe it's a little convoluted. I don't know, but. Years ago when I used to attend the rope workshop, if you didn't have a partner when you went there, you would either practice some self-ties or you could be paired up with somebody. And, I did a fair amount of the tying, but one of the things that the instructor of the workshop insisted was that at certain points it gets swapped.
Right.
Okay, where the rope top then becomes the bottom to give the other person the experience of handling the rope and tying it and such, so that, you know, it's a full circle.
Sure. So you understand
speak.
both sides of it as you're
Correct.
learning.
Correct.
So for you in that moment when you are tying because it's part of a class thing and you're just doing some group work and it's not a partner, it's not a full negotiated scene, it's like I'm doing this because you're on the receiving end, I'm on the topping end. Do you still get the same amount of pleasure, or any amount of pleasure I should say, as you normally do when you're like scening and you're tying, or is it very sort of, there's a word, not methodical, words are hard today, but mechanical. Yeah, mechanical. I knew it started with an M.
I can say this for that experience for me, and I'm only speaking for myself at this point.
Of course.
As much as I love tying rope, it was through that I also enjoy the feel of rope on me.
Okay, so having somebody else do the tying and you effectively for a moment were the bottom.
Yeah.
You got to learn a new sensation. Okay, so, but you performing as a service top, you are not a rigger in this scene. You are not my dominant. You're not anybody's dominant. You are literally on a near stranger going, here's how you do a box tie. Boom. Let me tie a little bow for you. And it's not got the same connotations as negotiated scenes, planned scenes, blah, 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 connection with the other person. Do you still get pleasure out of it, or is it just a mechanical thing of, let me, you know?
No, for me, I still got pleasure out of it.
Okay. I don't, looking at some of the live chat commentary, that's not always the case, and I think it's valid either way, is what I'm trying to say. Words are hard.
It's partially my fault, but I'm okay with that.
It is completely your fault. We'll talk about that later. So, I think you and I are both in absolute and total agreement that a submissive who provides a topping experience for their dominant, one, still submissive, two, call yourself a service top. It's a form of service. The topping is the activity. It's not necessarily, in that case, a mindset. You're not shifting your power exchange. You're not being submissive. You're actually being submissive by agreeing to do a thing because your partner wants you to do it. It's a little bit of a mind fuck, but it can be super helpful. But if you feel resistance to that suggestion, do some internal work to make sure, is it a boundary of, I just don't want to be the one to provide this, please don't make me do that, no thank you, or is it, am I really as submissive if I hit my dominant partner with a paddle? Yes, because if you're only doing it because your partner's like, I want you to be the one to do this, and you then consent to it, it's a very submissive act. It's wrapping your mind around the difference between dom sub versus, in this situation, top bottom. Then, of course, there are people who top in scenes where the bottom completely directs that scene. That would be a service top. They're doing it because this is exactly what the bottom wants, and they'll be the ones to do it. Again, regardless of what their role is in relationships with other people, including that person. I wonder if you can be a service top as a full, I'm sure you can. I just, my mind says I think it's possible, but I don't know how it would work. I'd be curious to know. Can you be a full service top in a power exchange? You're not dom, you're not sub. Is it an act of service, but you are the one that is in charge on some level to the degree that the bottom, or if the other person considers themselves as submissive, wants you to be? Is that... I know part of me says the question is that a power exchange role that a person can have? And of course it can be. I'm sure it can be, because if a person can imagine it, then it can be done. I would be very curious to know what that looks like and how that works and what the negotiations are like and what that feels like for a person. Because I know again, that's going to be unique to each individual, because when you talk about what dominance feels like to you, another dominant might feel something completely different.
It's not a cookie cutter thing. It's going to be something different for everyone.
But I would sort of love to learn from somebody who goes, yeah, I'm a service top, this is what that means to me. So feel free to email us, use our contact page. I'd love to know. Because
I would imagine if someone in that context is a service submissive,
mm-hmm.
does that tick that box of providing service?
And also, can you be... I understand service submission from the submissive side. I'm
Mm-hmm.
serving and I'm following your lead.
Right.
Can you... I know you can. I know that you can. But I just want to understand the how of dominating, not just topping, dominating from a place of service that we would not necessarily call caregiver.
Yeah.
Because caregiving and nurturing is a sort of service. It's in service of the other person, because a caregiver is going to make sure on whatever level is consented to by everybody involved,
Mm-hmm.
that the needs of the submissive partner are being met, even when sometimes that means they have to hear the word no, or go your ass to bed.
Yeah.
That is done. Taking care of somebody else is a service to that person.
Sure.
But can you be in the relationship, not in the activity, not in the scene, in the relationship, a pure service top, and be the one navigating that ship? Again, I'm sure it can be done.
Yeah.
My brain just needs to know how other people do it.
So then that begs the question, if that's the case in a relationship, where does that draw the line of someone in a relationship being a service top to then being a switch?
And I can't answer that because I have no...
Yeah.
A switch, yes, if there are times you don't want to service top and you would like to please bottom and receive, and however you would define that. Bless you.
Thank you.
And I absolutely think that a person who is sometimes a service top and sometimes not a service top because they want a bottom, sure. If the right word for them is switch, then what I mean is, like, you can bottom, and we've had this conversation. I don't know if we've had it publicly. Unless something's changed, I think the last time you and I had talked about it, you could not see yourself submitting. Bottoming, yes. Submitting, not necessarily.
Correct.
Right? Okay.
Correct.
So you are dominant, as far as we know, through and fucking through. You're going to be in charge of our relationship. You're going to the extent that we both want you to.
Yeah.
You're going to lead. You're going to navigate. You're going to blah, 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 blah. Some of the things you're going to do are going to be for your pleasure. Some of the things you do are going to be for my pleasure, my benefit, whatever. Sometimes you'll do a thing that is purely for my pleasure, and you're like, I'm neutral on this. At that moment, sure, you can call yourself a service top, but you're still a dominant through and through. What I'm curious about is, what would a power exchange look like if the way the dominant sees themselves, they would not necessarily call themselves a dominant, they would definitely call themselves a top, and their whole purpose is service. They're not really submissive. Just because you're serving does not mean you're necessarily submissive. I think that's the thing I'm trying to glean out what that could look like for your need for some level of control or topping, or to be the one providing, but it to be completely service focused. And the reason I keep coming back to this is all the conversations we've had on leadership over the years, where we talk about being a servant leader, where yes, there are things you personally want and you want to have happen and benefit from, and like, yes, but also most of your actions, most of your decisions are in service to the relationship itself, or to me as a partner you care about, which is reciprocated, because the things I do are in service to our relationship, or to you as somebody I care about. I have no doubt that a person can have a relationship like that and reject the term dominant and go, I'm actually just a top. I just want to know what that would look like. Because I don't think it has to be... I understand the concept of service top in a scene. That makes total sense to me. I understand it outside of a scene. I'm going to do this activity for you because you enjoy it and you want to know how it feels, and I have the skills to be the one to top. I understand it from a submissive perspective, providing a sensation for their dominant that requires the dominant to be on the receiving end to bottom for that sensation or that experience, and they need a top, and the person they trust is their submissive. Their submissive is not a dominant, their submissive is a service top. Like, I get all of those, but it's the service part, because there are absolutely people out there who are completely service oriented, service minded. They want to take care of the people around them. They want to fulfill their partner's needs, hopefully without ignoring their own needs. And I guess because I see all of these definitions that are about activities and not about the relationship, I want to, like, my mind wants to believe absolutely in a relationship you can be a pure service top and nothing else. Not nothing else, because we all contain multitudes, but you know what I mean? Like, that's like, you're a daddy dom in our relationship. Somebody else is like, I'm a service top, and that's what I do in this relationship. That's who I am. That's how I function in it. But then I want to know what that looks like inside a relationship. I think I can imagine what it looks like, but then there's nuances and there's subtleties and there's multitudes. Yeah. And that's what I'm fascinated by. Definitely the idea of a service top is a valid thing. Yeah. It should not be used against somebody as some sort of insult. Like, what kind of insult is that? Oh, you care about your partner's needs? Ew. Like, what? Well, I never understood why we would take something like that and make it an insult.
I think...
Are we in elementary school and on the playground here?
Well... You know, I hate to say it, you know, kink or non-kink, I think people are going to people. And I think part of that goes back to, there was a time, if you were a switch and you lived in city X and you were known as a dominant or a top in city X, you would not switch
where you lived.
Where you lived. People would have to travel to city Y to fulfill.
I know,
the
that's
bottom.
just a sad thing about
because of
people.
The stigmatism and shame of being known as a top and then switching.
And that doesn't make any sense, because what that means is you've just said, oh, only the doms and tops are the, air quote, good ones. And if you switch by bottoming or being a submissive, you've literally just said that everybody who bottoms and submissives is somehow less than. Right. And I know that attitude exists out there, but not in this fucking space. Not here, okay? Not in this circle of trust, okay? No. And my mind is blown by that people would, in all seriousness and with zero insight to what they're saying on a bigger level.
I know.
Is...
And I, you know, that was a time, and I do want to say, and I believe that has been changing.
I think so, yeah.
And it is not as prevalent as it used to be.
Sure.
But there was a time that was a thing.
Oh, sure. And a lot of the bad habits and the ways of thinking about other people and the one true wayism did not start with the advent of the fucking internet, y'all. Yeah. Communities have been gatekeeping their own communities since communities began. People want to, some part of, not the best part of our human nature, but some part of human nature is, I want to know who is in my group and I want to keep out anybody I consider other. And, you know, people also bring all of their own toxicity to everything they come and do. And so here we go. And if it's easier to other people and to go, but only the people that I recognize and I know and I like are allowed in my club. That still goes on, even now. Even now.
Yeah.
I know. I got nothing to add other than that sucks and it's wrong.
It does. and I think that, you know, that could be where some of this whole, you know, negativity about this comes from. And one would think that, you know, at this point in time in where we're at, that would not exist as much anymore. You know, that, I mean, I wish it could be perfect, you know, to say that everybody who comes into kink, you know, there's no judgment of what you like or what someone else likes. And, you know,
you're asking people not to people.
You can be who you want to be without.
Right. It's how it should be. Sure.
Yeah. So, you know, So I think probably there's a bit of that stigma that plays into that. So, I don't know. People.
I wish you were wearing your other shirt today. You're being grumpy now.
I know.
That would have worked.
Yeah.
There's as many types of people there are. That is how many ways there are to be dom, sub, top, bottom.
Yeah.
And then to remember that we can all move fluidly or not between different roles and designations based on the situation we're in, the person across from us, the activity we're doing, our personal mood and preferences. And so, there are times it's funny. I remember when I was first now almost a decade ago, learning about the difference between dom and top, and it was somehow my brain decided that those were two completely separate things, and they can be.
Yeah.
And then, I watched you as a dominant, sometimes top, where you were not in charge of that person. You were the one being the one giving the sensation or doing the activity where you didn't receive it, you dealt it. I'm thinking of impact play because that's the easiest one to kind of come into. Where, and we talk about me being very submissive in a relationship. Like, no, can't do a relationship where that's not part of it. But definitely being able to provide sensation for somebody else. Like, of course I can do that. So yes, it makes complete, and I am not a switch. You are not a switch because you can bottom. Switches can have both dom and submissive energy. They can have top and but like, however a switch decides to define that for themselves, that is for them. Please don't ask us about switching. Go listen to Raw Raw's podcast, the Pink King podcast, because they are switches and can talk about that more. But I feel like it should not come as a surprise to anybody who's spent any amount of time talking to actual people who are navigating a BDSM world and life in some way, that we can all be, there are different sides to us, and we might have different language for those things. We might not. Some people, of course, reject all labels. I get that. Service top to me is so interesting because there are so many ways people define it. So many ways. For some people, it's about an act or activity. Some people, it's about not being in a relationship. For some people, it's, for some people, it's you're submissive, but you're topping. So this is a term. For other people, it's for pro-doms and maybe other sex workers who are providing that service.
And I was going to say, Princess Rara brought it up in the chat that, as her ex as a dom who has several subs provides services as a service top.
Sure.
So, and I don't know why I never thought of it that way or made that connection. It's only because I've only heard the term service top used in the connotation, of a submissive topping
their dom.
Right.
Yes. And it's funny because that was not the first. I don't think that was actually the first way I heard that term used. It was just the first one that clicked for me.
Yeah.
So I think that anybody who's like, but I need to know exactly, definitively what a service top is, good luck to you.
Yeah.
I think it gets to mean whatever you need it to mean in a way that is right for the situation you're in. And then we have the addition of, but if somebody else defines it differently than you, that is okay. That does not invalidate how you have defined it for yourself.
Correct. I think it's going to be one of those terms that has multiple meanings.
Sure.
And it's not a matter of one being right or one being wrong. I think it's a encompassing term that, sometimes you go to Webster's dictionary and you look up a word and it's got multiple meanings, and I think, it especially in this world, in this lifestyle, I think that's going to be the case with most things.
Sure.
Things are not a definitive cut and dry, that's this and this is that, and so on and so on. I think things you're going to find have encompass many things.
Right. We all contain multitudes.
Right.
And everything's nuanced.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the fact that I can see the concept of service top from multiple different directions, and they all make sense. And I'm like, yeah, I totally get that. I can see where it would cause confusion for people. I understand.
Well, I think there, that's one of the things then too that, let's face it. I'm going to use the C word, folks. Communication.
Sure.
You come to me and say, well, I'm defined as a service top.
Right. Then I need to be able to explain what the hell I mean by that.
And, oh, okay. And I just kind of walk away and I conjure up in my mind what that means.
Sure.
Instead of saying, okay, what does being a service top mean to you?
Right. Exactly. And then from that point, you now have a jumping off point of a conversation and either a way to find common ground and commonality, or there's another word I can't think of it, but the give and take maybe of a potential exchange of power.
Yeah.
Or just an understanding of, oh, that's how another person does it. The other thing I would say is I go back to that one Reddit, I think it was a Reddit post, where the person who's submissive was very unhappy or concerned, if I'm remembering the details correctly, that their partner was topping them. They knew they were submissive. They wanted their partner to be a dominant, but their partner did not seem to have dom energy, have dom desires, was not in it, but was willing to, I think, spank them. It was impact play, I think. And they were disappointed in the response of, well, I'm happy to do it because it's what you want and it makes you happy. And some of this is now reading between the lines and a hazy memory of sort of wanting it to be more for the other person than that. I think that's where the disconnect and the lack of communication are going to be a problem, because I understand a person wanting their partner to get something, air quote this because this is very subjective, deeper, or air quote more meaningful out of an interaction, something on the level that they are getting from it. In terms of a power exchange relationship, that's where some of that exchange comes from. It's more of an energy exchange. Sometimes when I am submitting and or bottoming in an activity, it is on some levels more satisfying to know that you are reveling in your dominance and your topping at the same time. And that is a valid want, need, or desire. Yeah. But I also can't help but wonder what it means or says, or the connotations of somehow being dissatisfied that a partner is just happy to do the thing you wanted and happy that you are happy. Is that something that we've internalized, that somehow our happiness is not enough? Is that something that kinksters sometimes internalize, of all kinky encounters from a power exchange perspective, right, have to somehow always be deep and meaningful, which I don't think is true. It won't always. The reality of a long-term power exchange relationship is sometimes we're just in here to get it done. And it can be both the dishes and the spanking we scheduled 2 weeks ago, okay? Every moment that we are exchanging the power of who's the dom, who's the sub, who's in charge, who isn't, does not have to be filled with deeper, hidden, emotional connection meaning. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just, let's get shit done because we've got other shit to do. Right. And I wonder if that's goes back to, in some cases, and I'm thinking of that particular Reddit question, where it's a little bit of being a little bit more attached to the fantasy of what we tend to think power exchange will be versus the reality. Because sometimes I'm just happy you smacked my ass because you knew it would make me happy. I don't need it to be a dissertation on the meaning of dominance and topping to John Brownstone. I needed a swat on the ass because it feels good. And he was tired, but he gave it to me anyway. That's just as valid as, the scene we had this morning.
Right.
So, and in that case, let's make that argument. Not that you do it often, because the part of our power exchange is I let you know what I want, but then I wait for you to,
right.
Jesus, take the wheel, until I have to go, Jesus, take the wheel, I need a spanking. That's how today ended up happening. But I also know that there have been times when it wasn't that you weren't into it, you weren't violating your own boundaries, but like you would not have planned a spanking scene. You just wanted to lay down in bed and go to sleep.
Right.
And you gave me 10 minutes of a quick, decent spanking. Not because you wanted it, but because you knew I wanted it.
You needed it, yeah.
You were the service top. You were also still my dominant. You decided when it stopped, when it started. You decided all the things you always decide. But you did that thing for me, not because it was fulfilling to you, not because you got your kinks off on it, but because you knew I wanted it.
Right.
That's called relationshiping. Like, sometimes you just do shit because the other person would really like it, and it doesn't violate your own boundaries. If we need to call it something in that case, fine, we can call it service topping.
If you
But it doesn't have
if you
to be.
like my service, please leave a review.
5 stars always. Except for when you use my ass like set of bongo drums, and then you miss a beat. So I'm just saying. Then I knocked off half a star for that, but it's fine.
Okay.
So in kink relationships where a partner is very clearly a dominant, like there's no question, there's no, how do I get... No, we know who John Brownstone is. He can also service top. Because sometimes it's not about what he needs or wants. And that needs to be okay. Like...
Yeah.
That goes back to, again, a common fantasy / myth of power exchange. That power exchange, DS in this sense, is always all about what a dominant wants.
Right.
And only sometimes maybe about what a submissive wants. And that's just, no.
It's about a full give and take.
Right. And sometimes you're going to give more than you receive, and sometimes you get to receive a little bit more than you have to give. That's the fluctuations of relationships.
Yes.
When you're constantly giving and never receiving, that's a problem, and that's an either side of the slash kind of deal, for sure.
Yep.
So I don't think the concept of service tops is very difficult to understand. I think it's got a lot of not relationships. What's the word?
Nuance?
No.
Oh, okay.
Meaning. Definitions.
Yeah.
It was a multisyllabic word. I didn't even start it with the correct letter. I don't know what's wrong with me. I do know what's wrong with me, but we're going to blame JB for that. And I think it's a useful term that can be used in a lot of different ways. I think you can, like every other BDSM term out there, kind of don't twist yourself to fit it. Make the term fit you. But if you go around proclaiming yourself a service top, please understand it enough to be able to explain it to somebody else. And when somebody says to you that they are a service top, either in a situation or in general or however, do not think you know what that means. Take a breath. Go, what does that? How do you define that? How does that work for you?
Right.
Because you're going to get a different perspective and probably learn something in the process. And also, yes, you can be in long-term power exchange relationships. I don't care what side of the slash you are. And at some point be a service top as well. And it doesn't take away from your innate dominance, submissiveness, whoever you happen to be.
Now, just on a quick light note, was brought up in the chat. If I were to break out the evil stick, would that knock off another half a star?
There'd be nothing to review, because I would safe word out in about 2 seconds. I've decided that I will only allow, other than demos, because we do sell evil sticks.
Right.
I will only allow myself to be hit with an evil stick when I'm being paid for it. And you know what I mean by that. So just keep that in mind. So, I think it's, there's a lot of different people talking about service tops out there. Rah-rah, have y'all, I'm asking to the live chat, poor podcast listeners are like, where is Rah-rah? Sorry, not in your headphones. Rah-rah has... have you done that topic yet on your podcast? If so, let us know in the live chat. If so, I will link that episode in the show notes. Evie's talked about it before. Other places talk about it. If it's a concept that speaks to you on some level, do a deep dive and then reject everything that you go, no, that doesn't fit, and then just keep the definition for yourself.
And it doesn't mean that if if a definition is different than you view it, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily wrong.
No, it's not wrong. It just it doesn't fit with the way you define it.
Right.
Right. But it's also good to know how other people define it because it opens up your perspective a little bit.
Right.
So I don't want to talk in circles around this anymore because I feel like service tops, yay! Yeah. There's no one thing to say about it other than totally valid, means lots of things.
You know, Tayshu, would the Friday night hangout be considered a demo? I would consider that. Yeah.
Unless we're trying to sell evil sticks, it's not a demo. Just saying. And Rara says that there is an episode coming in a few weeks on Service Topping at the Pink Kink podcast. So if you're not listening to that podcast already, you should go subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Okay, I'm done talking about this because now we're just talking in circles and saying the same thing 5 different times.
Okay, so are we good?
I don't know.
As good as we can be.
As good as we'll ever be.
Okay.
Keep it kinky, y'all. And we'll see you next week. Daddy.
Yes, baby girl.
Can I talk to the crickets, please?
You've been talking for the better part of almost an hour now.
How is this different from every other day?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. I felt buzzing. It's not a school calling about a child, so yay.
There you go.
May I?
Go ahead.
Okay, so hi. Bonus section time. A little kink content for this one.
Yeah.
After we dropped the youngest off for first day of school, I don't even believe in a higher power, but praise Jesus. It's my southern roots coming out. We get our coffee, which we've been slurping on this whole episode. Come home, and for the first time in a very, 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 very long time.
Yeah, it has been a while that we've actually...
Y'all, the conversation we had to plan that there would definitely be a spanking scene today, which is when my butt got used like a bongo drums, and at least one picture of my very red ass was taken. I did not make my... air my grievances in a submissive tone.
No, she didn't.
I did it
and it was well deserved.
A woman at the end of her goddamn rope. I went, I understand that it's been a way, but I'm really tired of every year there's another reason, and then every week and every month, and I'm over it, and we need to figure something out.
And I did.
And you did. And actually, we have another date planned for this
week.
Do. I also get to live my best, I don't know, fantasy bookstagram life, because we're going to, like, peruse bookstore on Friday, too. We're not working at all on Friday.
No.
Kicking the kid off at school. Going to do, like, a brunch, maybe. Go through some little bit of like bookstore browsing. Will I buy books? I don't know, but I will browse them all. I will carry them all around. I'll get them sweaty. I'll put some of them back. Maybe I'll leave with some. And there will be another scene.
Let's put it this way. I even put together a small playlist of music.
You did. I need that playlist to grow.
It's definitely a living thing.
It needs to be a living thing.
Yeah. But I, you know, for what we had time for, I put together I started a playtime playlist on my Spotify account.
It's actually a really good mix of the music I love to listen to, and that you love to listen to lots of music, but this for scening, I need. For whatever reason, I need to be the music that's playing while my ass is being beat. I need that music to sound angry. Driving, thumping, throbbing anger. Yours is driving, thumping, throbbing, but it's not anger. I heard the musicians, it was a violin... Cello. This is the two.
No.
Who was it?
No.
Was it Lindsey Sterling?
No.
Okay. Who was it?
The first song was from the Bond Quartet.
Okay.
It was Victory, the Mike Batty version.
Okay.
It's a very upbeat. I think it'd be what you considered a salsa.
Oh, I don't know.
Or
I was having my ass cheeks jiggle with the impact of the paddle over to the time, not the beat, but the whatever percussion was going on, or sometimes the strings. It was like he was reading sheet music. And in the moment I realized what you were doing, I went, okay, this one is for you. Because I want you to be like a goddamn metronome. I want it steady. Because I want to meditate to it. Even when it hurts like a motherfucker, I want it to zone out and know kind of what's coming. I think that just soothes my anxious brain.
Yeah.
But you want to be in your own kinky rock concert and have nothing but back-to-back drum solos. Is that accurate? I think that's accurate.
I'm not denying it.
And I was just so happy to be naked and underneath a paddle. I was like, I'll take it. I'll take it. And then, like, every single song I heard was one I definitely either recognized or knew that I loved. And I did have this thought of, does it mean anything that the music I prefer for this is really angry?
Right?
Like, real, like, pissed off.
Yeah, and Taisha, yes, Lindsay Sterling is a good choice, and there will definitely be some of her music added to that playlist. But let's see, there was the Bond Quartet, followed by Bon Jovi, followed by Linkin Park, which was then followed by Godsmack.
Oh God! And we were in our post impact play. It was aftercare, but it was really relaxed. It was just a quick cuddle on the bed while I just like breathed. And Godsmack was playing, and I went, "Oh God, yeah, this is perfect. This is perfect. I'm here for this."
Yep.
Yeah, I was not as relaxed as I would have been with a meditative impact scene, but I was very relaxed, and you were just, his eyes were like lit up and shining and bright, and all of the stress crinkles in his forehead were smoothed out, and I was like, okay. So.
Yeah, Shatter Me, Christina, was one of the first songs
by Lindsay Sterling.
that I had heard, and that was kind of when she was a early YouTube sensation.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it was a lot of fun this morning.
It was very needed.
Oh yeah, on both sides. It was enjoyable. Very, very much so enjoyable.
Yeah. And it was not negotiated in, I think, the way that many people kind of imagine scene negotiations to go on in their head. It was a plaintive wail of a demand that I didn't care what we did or how we did it or who did it. But if something did not strike my ass repeatedly for at least 50 to 20 minutes, there was going to be a mutiny on this ship. I didn't know what that would look like. I didn't care how the scene happened. It was, we were sitting, we snuck out and got, I don't eat ice cream, but we got, we got ice cream without the kids. We're sitting in a park at 8:30 at night. The sun has set. It's getting darker and darker. We turned off the headlights because we didn't want to blind anybody else who was also parked in the park. There were lots of people parked at the park. And we're talking about multiple things.
Right.
And we came around to this, and you know, you and I both are proponents for the being in a vehicle having deep conversations, because you're each looking straight ahead. You're not usually looking at
parallel conversation.
Parallel conversations, easier to do in a vehicle.
Right.
Don't have to be driving to do it. We have gone to many a park in this area to have serious conversations.
Right.
And I was like, I'm glad you're living your best life over there. However, I don't want to feel slighted anymore, and this is bothering me. Well, it was not let me look deeply into my daddy's eyes and go, Daddy, darling, when you get a chance, could you possibly beat my ass? No, I was like, give it to me.
Well, I think it was one of those things, it was a realization on both our parts.
Yes.
Okay. We kind of both came to the same realization around the same time through the same means.
You said it angrily first.
Yeah. So.
Because, it's one of those things where I can easily tell every submissive out there, look, when you start feeling that something's not quite, or hey, when there's a thing you want, figure out within your relationship how to talk about it, figure out how you're going to get it, if you can have it, whatever. I do not always take my own advice. I wait until I'm ready to explode. Now, exploding for me in our dynamic can look very different depending on what's happening. When it's something where in my mind, heart, soul, body, he is in charge of, I will go a very long time without saying anything. I'm just like, okay, because I can understand the delays. I understand the reasoning for why something couldn't happen away. I'm almost too understanding at times. I think that's a good trait to have, but sometimes it'll bite you in the ass. And we were having a business discussion about a thing that we were thinking of, and we still haven't decided, of potentially doing, where I would willingly be hit by things like evil sticks. Jesus. And I finally went, part of the reason I even have this idea is because I feel like it's the only way I'm going to get this other need met. And then that got into a deeper conversation, not about resentment over things that you do that I don't, because I don't feel that way. If I can feel resentment creeping in, I'll speak up, and that I'm very familiar with that feeling. But sort of wait, you can make the time and effort over there, but not here at home with me. And I want to be the kind of submissive that brings things up to my dominant in a gentle, sweet, loving, service-oriented way, but that's not who I am or how I'm built. And part of it's because I can rationalize why things aren't happening for so long. But by the time I kind of finally hit a point of, I don't care what the rational reason is, this needs to be figured out.
Right.
I wasn't yelling.
No, you weren't.
I wasn't rude.
No,
I was very straightforward.
We have one very fundamental rule in our dynamic, and that is one thing that has stood since the very beginning till now and will be expected to continue. I told her very early on, she can tell me anything. She can talk to me about anything as long as it is done with respect.
The plaintiff wail in the car of, I just want to get my ass beat. What do I have to do? Might have had something to do with it too.
Right.
I mean, yeah. I spent an entire whole ass relationship going, I understand why my needs aren't being met. I can rationalize this. This makes sense. And just tamping it down. And that relationship imploded for a plethora of reasons.
Yeah.
And needed to. It was not a good fit.
But
I will not let that happen here.
Right. And I'm not gonna lie. It was primarily a good part of my fault, because over the past year I just let things the way our life has gone the past year with everything.
Because it's very easy to tell yourself that you have time for pleasure later. You have to focus on the really important thing in front of you. And sometimes you do. Sometimes in that specific moment, you have to deal with you have to put the fire out in front of you.
Right.
The problem is if you never make space, make the time, don't find it, make it for things that feel good and fill your own fucking well again, then it becomes harder to put out the other fires going on around you.
Right.
I mean, it's sort of that cliched, kind of makes me cringe self-care thing, but also this is a thing that makes us feel good individually and together. And when we can have moments where we are reminded that we can feel good individually and together, it becomes a lot fucking easier to deal with the shit that life is going to keep throwing at us. And if we keep sacrificing our own pleasure and happiness, we only make it that much worse for ourselves, and then we potentially start drifting apart in ways that it doesn't have to be that way.
Correct.
This is a point of connection that's not about raising a kid, solving a problem, paying a bill, whatever. This is a point of connection that is stress relief and pleasure all wrapped up into one.
And I know a lot of you out there are probably saying, well, you know, don't understand how that can be. You all work from home, you're together all the time, and it should just happen. Therein lies the problem.
Right.
We are together all the time. We work from home. And you know what? Between the two of us, we can always find something that needs doing around here.
Or by the time we sit still, we're so exhausted, we just collapse.
Right.
So,
you know, it is something that, you know, from here on out, definitely going to have to consciously keep in the forefront and continue. And a couple people asked, you know, how is it that we escape for ice cream together without the kids? There is a magic word. There is a magic word that most kids will turn them off and make them go, ew, I don't want to go with you. Errands.
We're running errands.
We're running errands.
Every once in a while, we are bluntly honest and go, we are having our own date night, and this is part of our date night. And they actually are very respectful of that. They go, okay, have a good time. I think they imagine that we're probably going to be like super nice to one another and tell each other we love each other, and they really don't want to have to witness that. Ew. Which I joke, they're very loving, open kids in that way, but they still don't want to be reminded that we are whole-ass grown-ups who, you know, do whole-ass grown-up stuff.
That one single word, errands, is magical to them not wanting to tag along. Because that implies they're going to have to carry bags, they're going to have to go into stores.
We're going to go from place to place to place. Yeah. Sometimes what it is we might have an actual errand, and sometimes we don't. We'll go one place and then we'll go get whatever and hide out wherever and do whatever. And then we hide the evidence before we walk back in the front door by throwing away our trash in the outside trash can.
Right. Yep.
But yeah, so pretty brief scene. Really good. You used a paddle where you can like Louisville Slugger it, and I mostly can take it. So played the music nice and loud. Nobody was around. Timed that just right, because about
that
20 minutes
perfectly
after we finished, the oldest came in because he has gaps in his schedule right now. So he comes home in the middle of the day and then leaves again. I just heard him leave right now. So yeah, and it was like, I didn't make a lot of noise, but the smacks were very loud. Very loud. And then it was afterwards that you remembered that you have two of that particular type of paddle, and that yes, you actually could play a drum solo.
I could do a drum solo, paddle in each hand.
We had to change positions in mid-scene because I was bent over the bed, and when you were on one side, you got a good angle on one cheek and a bad angle on the other, and then you would switch sides, and finally you were like, get your ass up on the bed. Okay. And then I just laid there and like sunk my head into the pillow, and I was like, okay.
You did.
So yeah, it was good. I'm already looking forward to Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's easy to get into a rut in any relationship. Even, you know, I get the surprise that newer kinksters or newer power exchange relationships will have a, what do you mean it's not always hot and heavy all the time? It's like, it really isn't.
No.
It really isn't. We have to make it be that way
it's,
sometimes.
you know, it's one of those things because, you know, we do consider ourselves 24/7 in our relationship. And a big part of that is because of our DS rules and protocols that are always a part of our relationship, regardless of, you know, the sadism and masochism aside, which is technically another aspect of it.
Sure.
So, you know, in essence, the DS is always a part of our lives.
Of course.
You know, so it's the other fun stuff that
it's the actual fuckery that gets pushed aside.
Pushed to the side.
So, yeah, there was fuckery. There was no, you know, and I think that's another thing that I know here y'all have been around long enough that many of you are experienced kinksters. It does not surprise you, but for anybody who happens to be new, hi. Our fuckery is not all sex. Our sex is not all fuckery. There was no sex in this one. It was pure impact play, which is perfect. Perfect. I don't think our sex is ever vanilla, but our sex is not always kinky either.
Mm-hmm.
But our fuckery is not always sex related. I was kind of turned on after, because I get turned on by certain levels of pain and impact.
Mm-hmm.
Like my body physically responds to that. My mind might be off, but the body's like, oh, we're preparing. We're preparing. Incoming. No. But like for me, that wasn't even a sexual moment. It was definitely an intimate moment. I don't think there's any question there, but like, sometimes I feel like it's good to like remind folks who might not understand that, either for themselves or just in general, that other people don't like. Yeah. I wasn't even feeling like sexy. I was like, I could feel my butt jiggle, and I was like, I bet that looks cool. Yeah, put sound effect to that jiggle.
Right.
I was thinking, I can't wait to see the picture of this red ass. But yeah. Now, for you, was there an element of eroticism to it, or was it just the release of the...
There was a little bit of eroticism. Mm-hmm. It was more the release of just giving you a good...
It's the release!
Yeah.
Yes!
Yep.
Yes.
So...
And so concludes a bonus section about kink for once.
Right.
What else we got going on? The kids have gone back to school.
Yes.
School.
Yep. Today was the first day, and it was wonderful.
It went for the youngest, who is highly anxious. Mm-hmm. Just had a doctor's appointment with his psychiatrist yesterday, and I was like, if there's still an upset stomach on the way to school, what do we do? And so we've got a plan for that. He's not a fan of school because it makes him so anxious. Plus he gets bored. Plus he hasn't had a teacher he's really connected with in a few years. I'm hoping that he's got 7 or 8 teachers to potentially connect with this year. I hope one of them is somebody he's excited to go be in class with. So he was nervous, but I feel weird saying this because I hope folks who know us understand my meaning. He handled it very well. What I mean by that was not that he acted like he wasn't anxious or hid his emotions, but like he expressed his emotions and still kind of did the damn thing, right? Yeah. Like he's still holding on to that stainless steel bowl from the end of last school year in the backseat of the car this morning. But also we pulled up to the line and he went, okay, I guess I got to go do this. Put his backpack on, got out of the car and said, okay, I'll see you later. And I'm going, I love you, baby. Have a good day. You're going to be great. And he's like, yeah, whatever. And he's out the door. In previous years, before diagnosis, before medication, before just getting a little bit older and maturing a little bit, it was a fight. It was a fight. And so this was the first year of his, in a couple of years of his school life, where I have not cried dropping him off thinking I have just harmed my child. I had 1 year where I didn't cry because it was the first year we walked up to the front door of school and he let go of my hand before we even got to the door and I didn't have to walk him in. Right. Because he'd been at that school for so many years at that point. He was extremely comfortable, saw his best friend, did not need me. That was 3rd grade, okay? Yeah. That was the last year until this year going into 7th grade. There have been no tears from anybody, him or me, dropping off her school. So, I don't know. That's kind of nice. The oldest is a senior. That's still freaking me out. It will continue to freak me out until he's a freshman in college. Like, I know this. He's going through a breakup, which sucks. I think last week, it was during the Patreon Q&A that I read the message, so some folks already know. But he's fine. As fine as you can be.
He's handling it rather well.
He even said to me yesterday, he goes, Mom, I think I'm pretty resilient. I went, you are. You are. So.
I mean, it's funny, Kayla has one relationship with the boys. Mine is a little different.
Yeah, we have very different relationships with these children.
She kind of looks at, especially with the oldest, she kind of gives us some looks sometimes. He's leaving out the door this morning. I told him not to let the door hit him in the ass on the way out.
Their relationship consists of roasting one another and calling it a conversation. Now, I will say that is a sign of some growth from you as well, because he, so much like kids everywhere, teenagers especially, once they learn about sarcasm and the elixir and the intoxication of saying a shocking thing, they will absolutely take it too far. And there was a point a few years ago, where he would roast you, but nobody knew if he was really joking, and we were pretty sure he wasn't. And you and I had a lot of long conversations about how that really upset you and blah, blah, and we had to work through that. And so I've been operating from a place of, okay, JB does not want to be roasted. And so at some point in the past year or so,
it's kind of,
you had a shift and forgot to tell me. And so they're just at the dinner table, like, I mean, crucifying each other. I'm like, is this love? I don't know. If somebody said those words to me and called it joking, I would cry, but okay. So yeah.
I think it's one of those things with him that I figured I could either let it keep bothering me, or I could embrace it and give as good as I get.
Yeah, and y'all's love language with one another is F-bombs and insults. It's sitting at the dinner. It's very rare all four of us are at the dinner table anymore because he's so busy, job, school, social life, whatever. And when we're at the dinner table, sometimes I just look at his brother, who's not quite 13, and go, I'm so glad we could all sit down together and have dinner.
I mean, we trade our barbs, but at the same time, I will still tell him I love him.
Yes. You have something on your shirt.
Oh.
Yes.
And, as he's on his way out, have a good day, be safe, yada, yada, But we kind of have that.
I'm glad you found your way.
Yeah.
I'm just glad you found your way. In other news, Lola is sighing deeply from the love seat here in the office, wondering why nobody is coming to rub her tummy. It is completely open and available for anybody who will love her. Onyx and Ella are crazy cats, and they are who they are, and we're going to love them anyway.
Right. Well, the funny thing that's been happening with Onyx lately, Onyx has always, to some degree, demanded my attention.
Well, you're the cat whisperer. So.
And it's normally always been, if I'm off somewhere in the house and there's no one else or no other cat or a dog around. Lola and I have an established routine before breakfast when I feed them. We have a thing. I rub her belly, and
because she's got a whole 8 hours without anybody to rub her belly.
Yeah,
because we've been asleep.
And then life. After that, once I'm done rubbing the belly, then she'll get up and she'll give kisses, and I'll scratch her cheeks, and all that. And now, while I am doing that with Lola, Onyx insists on getting her share of attention at the same time. So I'm rubbing Lola's belly with one hand and scratching Onyx's back with the other now.
JB and his girls.
Yeah.
And then, later in the day, he's got to rub my butt. So, whatever. It's a tough life. So, yeah.
So, they're doing good. And this one, Kayla.
Me.
Kayla, yeah. she has fallen in love with the neighbor's cat.
They're outdoor. Well, they're both outdoor cats. One won't let me come near him, but one actually let me pick him up.
Yeah.
Unlike the girls who live in this pampered fucking house who won't let me pick them up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ella kind of will, but she's going to be pissy about it. His name's Ezra. He's a gray cat with white socks. He's thin because he does spend most of his time outdoors, but he's huge. Like if he ate his fill, this would be a chunky.
He'd be bulked up. Yeah.
Chunky boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, he kind of wanders around the street, but between our neighbor's house, which is where he actually lives, and our driveway. He almost followed me inside one day. That was after I picked him up. He went, "Oh, okay, you're my mommy now." I was like, no. There's going to be a mutiny in my household if I let a strange cat come in. By the other cats is what I mean, not by anybody else. But yeah, he's a sweet boy. He's very loving. Sometimes I can get him to come up to me. Sometimes I can't. It's funny. Our neighbor, a few times ages ago, had asked her, was it a problem that the cat Ezra was coming over?
Yeah.
And JB was explaining to her, no, my wife loves him. He's great. Well, apparently the former owner of this house, which is our other neighbor, was not amused that there might be a cat in her driveway. And so the neighbor who owns the cat and owns a lot of cats and has dogs and fosters and works at the animal shelter for the county, like she's an animal lover, was very worried and was trying to keep the animals who get out or are out away. And we were like, no, it's fine. As long as they're not trying to get in our house or like cause problems, we don't mind. And so I give him as much love as I can.
And Eva, you're right. It was the shed cat, and it turned out it wasn't a stray cat. That's Ezra from next door. Who used to come over, and he's still around. He's the escape.
He must have been like a kitten or a very young cat at the time, because he's a big boy. Yeah. He's got these big old feet, and I'm just like, Lord, if you weren't a hunter and roaming all day long and working off whatever you're eating, you'd be a chunky boy.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's
kind of it.
That's kind of it.
Yeah.
We're just doing our thing.
Waiting for the dog days of August to be over.
Yeah, I just like the humidity to go down a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like I could breathe when I walk outside. That'd be nice. But other than that, we're just working. We're doing stuff.
Yeah.
Same old, blah, yada, yada. Stuff. So...
Well, yeah.
Okay, so in the live chat for podcasts, Silent Winged asked, was this not sushi? Yes.
Yes.
Because we thought that cat's name was sushi. Because the niece of the neighbor used to swap their collars. And it's actually Ezra. And Ezra is still out. I don't know where Sushi went. Maybe Sushi is finally an indoor cat. Maybe Sushi got adopted. I don't know. Koi is the other one that comes around, but he's not quite as friendly.
He's not quite as friendly. I've got him to come up.
Beautiful cat, though.
Yeah, I've got him to come up and let me pet him a few times.
I've never. He's like, no thank you. But he's an orange cat with super long hair and one of those super fluffy tails.
Yeah, big floof.
Big floof. Yeah. Nah, I don't want a cat with that kind of hair in my house, but I would love Koi from a distance if he would let me.
Yeah.
He's not interested.
Right.
So okay, we could talk about fur babies all day, but we
could.
I need to refuel out. It was a brief scene, but I need to eat. I'm hungry.
I know.
I've only had coffee today.
Okay.
So we're gonna go. Thanks y'all for being here with us. Glad that there could be some actual kink content in the bonus section.
Appreciate each and every one of you joining us.
Yes. And we will be back next week.
Yep.
We'll talk to y'all later. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.